Hola, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's still with Vicky here. In today's video, we are going to be sewing this sweetheart neckline bustier. So keep on watching. So right here on my pattern paper, I already drew out my bust line, under bust and waistline. My bust line is 11 inches, under bust 14 and waistline 17. And then I also drew out my shoulder line. So I took in 3 inches on the neckline and slope 5 inches. So next we are going to be imputing our nipple to nipple measurement. Our nipple to nipple measurement is 3.5 inches. So I'm just going to place that. So I'm going to be placing that on my bust line, my under bust, and my waistline. So next on that bust span measurement we have placed, we are going to be taking 0.75 on the left side and 1.25. So that makes our total dart 2 inches. I decided to share it that way. You can share it as 0.5 inch on one side and 1.25 on the right side, right? So that's what I did, and then we're just going to go ahead and roll it in. So next I'm going to use my curved ruler and then just curve it out. Next, on that shoulder slope we have 5 inches, right? So now we are going to get the midpoint, which is 2.5 inches. So that 2.5 inches will be ruling from that point to our bust line, where our nipple to nipple measurement is on our bust line. So that's where we're going to be rolling down to. So next, for our neckline, I'm trying to get my neckline depth, right? That way we can curve out the how deep or how low we want our bustier to go. So you can see right there I measured 7.5, and then at the midpoint, at that nipple to nipple measurements, I used 6.5. So we have 7.5 and 6.5. So that's how low. You can decide to go lower or higher if you want. So I just used my pencil to trace it out, and then I'll go ahead and use my marker later. Next, on that line, that's nipple to nipple, that's line we made across the bust line to the shoulder line, I measured 0.5 inch on the left side and 0.75 on the right side. So now we are going to go ahead and roll that in. So next I'm going to use my curved ruler and curve out the neckline. So I'm also going to curve out on the right side. So next I'm going to be adding the body measurement. So I'm adding the bust measurement plus 1 inch sewing allowance, and then I used ½ inch for the darts, because on that point of darts we just had approximately ½ inches, right? And then right here on the chest line I also placed the bust measurement, 1 inch sewing allowance, and then I measured the allowance we had there, roughly 1 inch. So I placed 1 inch for the darts. So next for the under bust, I placed it plus 1 inch sewing allowance, and then the total mark of the darts that we took in was 2 inches. So I placed 2 inches, and then we would repeat the same thing for the waistline. So I will place the waistline measurement plus 1 inch sewing allowance, and then the darts that we took in 2 inches, we place that, and now we are going to go ahead and rule that. So I'm just going to cut out the top here, and then I'll be cutting out the center front because we want to take in the side bust darts. You see what I'm doing here? So I just cut out the excess from the front. So I'm just marking here the center front so that I can know which is which. So for our bust, side bust darts, on our bust line there, we are going to place 1.5 inches, right? We want to take in our side bust dart. So it's for that gulping that comes by the side of your bust. So we are taking that allowance so that your bust is well shaped, right? So that 1.5 inch that we marked there, we're going to trace it to the bust points, right? So I'm just going to cut it out. So this is what I'm doing. You can see what I'm doing. So you're going to place it and then lift up from where you cut on the under bust line to the bust line. So you can see what I'm doing. It's pretty much explanatory. So I'm just going to tape that in, and then that 1.5 inch that we took from the side bust, we are going to be replacing it at the hem of the top. So now we are going to place that 1.5 inch back. So at the hem of the top right here, I'm placing my 1.5 inches, right? And then from that point, we are going to connect it to the side front, not the other point. You see where my hand is pointing at? That's where we're connecting the lines to. So I'm just going to rule that in. Then we are also going to be ruling to connect the line to the rest of the measurements, right? So now we are done with our front pattern, and I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. Moving on for our back pattern, right here I already placed my bust line, my under bust and waistline, which are 11 inches, 14 inches and 17 inches respectively. So next thing, we are going to be marking how deep we want our back neckline to be. Right here, I placed 11, no, I used 12 inches for my back neckline. So you can decide to go either 10 inches, 9 inches, 8 inches, 7 inches, 13 inches. It's all up to you how deep you want your back neckline to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark that. Next, we are going to be placing our nipple to nipple measurements, which I also said earlier is our bust span. So we have 3.5 inch for our nipple to nipple measurements. So on that 3.5 inch, we are going to be measuring 1 inch on both sides. So we are not placing our nipple to nipple measurement the way we placed for our front. So I'm just rolling that up to my chest line, and then I'm going to take in the 1 inch on both sides. I'm just rolling them in. So moving on, next we are going to be placing our body measurements, right? So I'm just going to place my body measurement. You add your body measurement, your sewing allowance. You can decide to use 1 inch, 1.5, 2 inches. It all depends on you, but I prefer to work with 1 inch. And then the darts allowance, no, the darts that you've already taken in, so you're replacing that. So I took in ½ inch for my darts, and then here I'm placing in the same measurement I have of my bust line for my chest line. So moving on to the under bust, so I'm placing my under bust measurements, my 1 inch sewing allowance, and then the darts um measurements I have there, I'm placing it after. And then for the waistline, I'm also going to put in my waistline measurement, my 1 inch sewing allowance, and 2 inches for the dart, right? So I'm just going to place that. And then we're going to go ahead and roll it in. So for this part, I'm going to be using my curved ruler to curve it in. So the next thing we are going to do now is connect our neckline. So you remember the 12 inches that we marked earlier. So now we are going to be ruling it to the side of our measurement. So I'm here showing you guys again. We have 12 inches, and then we are going to be ruling it. Right here, I already placed my pattern on my fabric, and then I already cut them out. You can see how nice and beautiful they are looking. So next, I joined my fronts together. So I joined the center front to the side fronts, both on my main fabric and on my lining, and then I used interfacing for my front, my bust. For the old fabric, I used interfacing, which is horsehair, cloth gum, whatever they call them around where you stay or however. So this is what the back is looking like. How nice and cute. and this is the lining for the front. This is the lining for the back. So I'm just going to go ahead and join them all together. So right here I already placed the lining and the main fabric for both the front and the back and join them all together, and this is what it's looking like. What is remaining is to add the zip, and we will be done with this particular tutorial. So guys, this is what the finished look is looking like. Please do make sure to subscribe, like and share. I hope you found this video really helpful. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.